There it goes. Okay. So, what is going on? I'm back again, Court Campbell. What's going on? So I was looking at these toothpicks for Swiss Army knives, and I noticed that this page had a bunch of images on it, so I was going to just try to image it with the thing I've written. So I'm going to try to go and go crawl this page. So I'm going to go over to VM Instances. I'm in Google Cloud Platforms console. Meta is composed of a Solr box, basically a Solr template. I guess I can show some stuff off here while I'm doing this. And then a grub box, which is the crawler. So the crawler is a separate project that I'm not looking at inside of Meta here, but I'll get into that later. And then a Solr box. The Solr box can be launched if you're interested in doing that. You can go to github.com/cordless/grub2.0. You check this repo out and then just click to the install part. And if you clone the repo and then you go in and edit the secrets file, and then you copy the secrets script into the Solr scripts, then you can deploy Solr, just like I'm doing here. So I have Solr deployed off of that particular deployment methodology, which is check this repo out, and you can run it here in the shell. So I have grub in here, and then I go into the Solr scripts, and I should just be able to do a deploy Solr. Now I think this is probably going to fail because I have it assigning this external IP address, which this one already has it. So yeah, it's saying it's already got it. So I would need to modify the script a little bit, but it's not going to start anything at this point. But that would start an instance, and you have to configure your IP address. That's about all you have to do with it. And then the rest of the project is all in AppEngine. So it's an AppEngine. That's this project over here. This is written in Flask. So if you're doing Python, Flask, and JavaScript, you might want to watch this channel. Although you might not want to. I hope you do though. This whole thing with the live streaming is interesting because when we were all together before, we were all live streaming. I could come over to your desk, I could sit down with you, we could talk, and now it's like I'm at home and trapped in a little room with a bunch of shit in my closet behind me. I put more stuff back there to make it interesting, and I also made a little round thing to try to make it a little funnier. So, I guess funner. So anyway, so this channel, if you're bothered to listen to me prattle on, this channel is about coding, me coding this particular website, which is called Meta. And I'm going to try to launch this as a thing people pay for. And the whole idea is that it is something that I can work on. I don't have to get out of the house. I can just sit down and work on this and make it. And it's a bunch of stuff I've done before in the past, so it seems like a good idea. It's a good time to do a startup. So who knows? And then I thought, well, I don't have anybody else to hang out with while I'm doing this, and it's kind of sad and boring, right? So because we're all at home, and I thought, well, I could put it up. So it takes a little bit of I don't know. I have to kind of make myself determined to do this. But anyway, I think it'll be a good time because, honestly, it gives me a set schedule. I'm going to be on for 2 hours, and I'm just going to work on the project, and eventually I'll open source. Some of this is already open source, as I showed with the Solr stuff. The deploying Solr stuff, that's all open source. All that grub stuff's open source. So a crawler, like a deployment for Solr. I've got a reverse proxy for Nginx that does authentication, so you don't have to set up Solr. It's basically just to push a button and you get a Solr box deployment, which is pretty nice because that's kind of hard to come by. And then I'm going to foray into TensorFlow, not so much necessarily training the networks. I might try to do that on this series, but more deploying the networks that are already out there, that are already trained. So those models that are already pre-trained, deploying those, getting those into production, and getting people to be able to send photos to them easily. Right now, that's not an easy thing for people to do, to mess around with these machine learning models. So I'm going to try and make that a little bit easier for people with the service. Maybe give it, like it's kind of hard to describe what this thing is. It's Solr under the hood, but the website that I've come up with, this is the only page that really says anything about what it does, is that it's something that lets you index the web. So it's like a search engine, so like Google. If you think about Google, they've crawled a lot of stuff. So they've crawled everything. And what we can consider everything, because that's how we find stuff, right? We go to Google and search for it. So everything we find is usually on Google. Sometimes we find things that aren't on Google, but like that's what this is for finding stuff that's not on Google, and also for finding stuff that and that would be something that you know where it is, and you tell it, hey, here it is, and that's not on Google, and then you're able to find it. And then also stuff that you found on Google that you want to remember that you found, and you want to save it. So that's what this meta US is for. But that doesn't mean the software I'm writing isn't useful for something else. So if you're into machine learning, or writing bots, or interested in like coding against Slack or things like that, maybe you can watch me. I've done a couple of startups, but that doesn't mean I know anything. So I'm probably an interesting programmer to most people. So to programmers, they would go, well, that's interesting. I don't know. My programming skills are, I don't know. Who knows? I'm okay. So I've taught programming before, so I do tend to make a mess of things sometimes with it, but I think it's fun to learn with it. So with that said, I'm going to get back into what was going on the last time, and I've done a couple of things as promised. I have made a directory they called API under templates, and I've moved all of the JSON templates, which these are not complicated. I think this was the most complicated one I had here with a message of error. Most of them they just look like this. And so what I have now is one called settings. We'll talk about this one first. And settings, as from the last video, let me get over here to the docs. I can pull up production docs. It's probably fine. I've changed this somewhat. This says settings now, but just whatever, it doesn't matter. So this is what we're working on trying to return right here. So I wrote this documentation. This is like if you're doing API, I guess design or documentation for APIs. You can, I don't know how, I've done this a couple different ways at a couple different companies, and I say I would like watch or suggest how we would do it, but and did a little bit of the coding myself, but now I'm doing all of it. So in this particular case, what I did first is I prototyped something in code, and then I thought about what is the code doing? Like what is the JavaScript doing? It's making calls to the APIs. What are the APIs returning? Okay, like what does that object look like in the database? So I'm thinking about all of that. And then not having to communicate with anybody, I think to myself, well, then I need APIs for people to use, right? I mean, if most sites have APIs, just because it's handy, it's nice to have programmatic access to your data on other services. This is a good way to put it. But it doesn't mean that this is going to make this thing successful necessarily, but it is a way to market your product to developers. And that's usually what I end up spend a lot of my time making money. I will do that for people. I'll make stuff and try to get developers to use it. So anyway, so the whole idea with the API is that it defines what the service looks like to developers, and it also defines what the code looks like. So how the code handles the data that is in the system. And in this case, I'm starting out with the easy one, which is settings, not config, but settings. And the settings is supposed to return this array of objects, which are values and named values. Essentially, it's like a variable, and its value, and that's being used to set settings for the users. So the users can just set some settings themselves with the API, and then the system can read from those settings and say, oh yeah, you want this variable to be this value. Okay, fine. So in thinking about this a little bit more, what I did here is I actually stubbed out what I thought it should be returning. But now as I'm doing this is the actual result. You can see I renamed this config settings to settings because I renamed it from config to settings. That made more sense. And the P is for personal settings, so that's the idea of the endpoint is P for personal settings, so that it's simple. And then and then what is returned is the name, so the name of the setting, plus the value of the setting, which is this. And currently I'm going to make it a string, so that's going to change. I'm going to make this to where it's a JSON variable or JSON object, so you can make value be any JSON object you want. But then methods, and then the last one is methods. So that's the entire object, is like what you can do with it, and then what you could do with it, and what you could set, and what you could set the value to. So right now it's a string, but later it's going to be JSON. And so the thing is that when you look at this object, you want to think about, well, how is that stored, or how is that generated, or where does it manifest from? So for example, you can save JSON into Solr, and you'll get you'll be able to save, you'll be able to save some data structure into a JSON object and send it into Solr. As long as it's flat enough, it'll store it for you. So like, how does it store it? Well, hell if I know. I don't know. It's in there. It stores it somehow, and when I ask for it, it gives it back to me, and it looks the same. So in this case, whenever somebody's querying for a setting and then they get the setting, then those two things need to kind of look the same, and then obviously they need to be stored somewhere. And so that's what I'm doing now, is wiring that up. And so in settings list, it ended up being very short. So I do a query, I get all of the settings. So that ended up being a query. I just lucked out, I guess. I think it ended up being a query. Let's see, was that true? Settings. Did I write it? I did. I ended up having to write this, and it was, well, that's right. That was from yesterday. So I'm fetching 10 settings. So there's a limit to it. Fetch evidently takes a parameter, and that parameter is the number of objects or entries that it'll pull back. Anyway, so with settings being the list, and this is setting, so that's this one here, you want them to look the same, but then the actual implementation of it is not so much the same, because you have to put a for loop into the template. Now, I don't know, kind of on the fence about this stuff. That's why I was like, I felt more comfortable doing it in here. But when you do the code in here, so for example here, maybe this one's a better example. So I could do something like this. I could do setting dot, and then I could say name equals, and then I could say chord, and then I could say setting dot put, and then that particular entry in here, data store and storage. I don't know. Let's see. We're looking at settings, right? So if I were to do that, this thing right here, then it would just set that setting. That it would set this entry if I pulled it up by the username and name. So if I were to type in foobar /foobar as the path /p/foobar in the path, and then I told it to set it to chord, it would rename it to /p/chord. Essentially, that's what it would do. But then you're updating the object out here, but then you could also just update it. Like, I mean, you could build the object. If I were looping through things, I could write a for loop out here, or I could write a for loop inside of the template. And so I like to do for loop inside the template so that both of these things look the same. They look familiar to me, and it's shorter, and then I don't have as much code in here, because I do have to add in code for some other checks for stuff. So, and one of the things that I have to do, which is what I'm going to do right now, is I have to add a field for the, I have to add a field for the, I say field, I have to add an object for the email address of the user, because that is the thing that I determined is the only thing that you really need to return to the user that would be a settings that they couldn't set, but they might need to know. So for example, like this email, like, so they're going to send in a token. It's good to give back some identifier for, you know, what that account, which account that is. So you want to give them back their email address. And that's the only thing that I could figure out that was out of this list that I wanted to give them of user attributes that I wanted to include in as a setting. So again, we're like, it's like thinking about this. When I coded all this, I was like, well, what do people want back? Well, they want back settings, like things they can set, things they can read. And then like, well, it's like, well, I put in here, for example, the token, but I mean, they already know what the token is because they're sending the token, so why return the token as a setting that you can't set? You can't set it. But then maybe there's something else in there, like, so I put user ID in there. Well, I don't need another user ID. I only need another user ID because I'll do lookups with it and stuff. I don't need to tell them what their user ID is. So the only other thing that is really settable is like what they log in with, which is their email address. And it just makes sense to put the email address in there. So that's what I'm going to do right now. And this is in settings, so I need to include it in there as well as handle it as its own endpoint. So there'll be a /p/ this thing right here. Will be a dedicated one for setting. Sorry, email. Like that. Or I'll handle it down here in the name. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is this is going to be this, right? That was good. And then this is name. And then this is the email. So this is the email. And comma. Value. And in this case, this only has one method, which is get. Can't post to it. So that was the only one that ended up being different. So I don't know, at that point when I made that decision earlier to do this, I thought, well, I mean, do I include methods in there? Is it good to include the methods? I think it is, because they actually, these represent endpoints on the API. And I think it's good to indicate whether or not somewhere, whether or not that particular method is a get or you're able to update it or not. And there may be other things that I need to put in here that I don't know what I need to put in here now, and I'll have to put them in here later, and then I'll have that functionality available to me later. Maybe that'll be useful. Okay, so I want to put this for loop here. Otherwise, if you put this in a template like this, it'll make a blank line and carriage return there, so it's just like this blank line. You don't want that in your JSON. I'm already kind of on the fence about formatting it for them, but it'll be fine because it's valid JSON. And we're going to validate that it's JSON here in a minute. All right, so I've got an extra thing in here like that, I think. Yeah. Okay. So then, if I ask for settings now, once I get this other error figured out, I have an indentation problem on line 67 of settings. And I'm just gonna comment on all this. I'm just putting this in here so I won't forget it. I'm probably not gonna do it like that. I'm gonna probably do it down in here somewhere, but I'll look at it here in a second. It says line 67. Yeah. 68 now. Line 67 still. It says if setting. I think I'm missing. Oh, this is set. Yeah, that's right. Oh, I haven't saved it. Line 77 now. I've got copy pasta problems probably. What's going on here? Oh yeah, this thing's way too far. I was stitching all this together. Oh lords. Okay. Let's see here. Let's do this. I'm going to work on that. That's what we're going to work on here. So I was working on it earlier. And I broke it. I think that should work. This is the thing that needs to indent because of the if setting thing. 97 indentation problem. Okay, what's wrong with that? Line 97. Looks okay to me. If setting else. All right, all of it gets commented out. Just give me an indentation problem because of the if. Huh. So weird. Oh, with client contact. Client contacts pass. I'm really puzzled in what is going on here. There's things like this with programming drive me bonkers. It's usually me though. Like it's always me, but like I just don't see what is wrong with this. So it's like something inside of all of this junk that I had commented out. Like it's somewhere in here, there's something it doesn't like. Maybe it's because I don't have this. This is supposed to be indented here, right? Like I have to indent this. I have no idea. Well, my sense is that doesn't matter. Like that. I guess that worked. Okay, whatever. Okay, so. All right, so we're gonna run our no module JSON has no attribute reads. I was doing something. Let's see. I just want to query the. All we're trying to do right now is this endpoint. Yeah, /p. So I want to get the list back. There's the list. That's what I'm expecting. So my indentions are off. Oh yeah, I forgot I changed those to. Change those to spaces. I'm going to move the mic real quick. It was touching the desk, so every time I was moving the desk, I think it was making noise. It's probably totally irritating. Okay, so, yep, so right here, yeah, that looks good. Let's try that. I mean, whatever, it doesn't matter what it looks like. Okay, now I'm going to take this. Oh, it's not getting my email. Let's see. So this is email. So from settings, so Flask login allows you to, a current user has all of the, I think all of the fields available to it, so this should work. And then I'm gonna do this equals like that. There we go. There's my email address for the world to see. Okay, timestamp's not working. So timestamp, time stuff, copy, put it up here right below this stuff. Some user settings. Right now we're only returning 10 of them. No timestamp. Timestamp. Alright, now it's time to break this one out a little bit. Alright, now we have a timestamp. Request URL. I mean, I could try to figure out, I don't know how to gain access to that. I mean, programmatically I should probably figure out what that is, but I have no idea what it is. I could go Google it. I don't even know how to get those methods. How do you read the route? Settings API is a blueprint, so I'd have to read, be the blueprint. It's the route code. So I can go look at the code. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to leave it like that. So the request URL is /p. That's it. Let's see if it works. Looks good to me. I guess I now need to make it so we're, let me think about this. Okay, so is there anything else that needs to be done with that particular method? Turns a list of configuration settings and their current values, requires token only. It's going to return up to 10 of them for now. I could set that higher, but I don't see any need to. I'd rather limit it. And then that way people, if they're setting them, I mean, you can still set them, but maybe I could put a limit on how many you set. You could say I'm going to limit it to 10. And then if you want to unset one, you have to do delete. Oh God, that means I have to do a delete. A delete one. Maybe if you set the value to like nothing, then it deletes it. That'd be a good way to do it. Okay, so I'm still on the fence about this. Like, I want to be able to store. I can store JSON in here for the value. So I really want to do that. That serially encodes it and stores it in there, and then I can return it and use it. I'm gonna go get something to drink. And something else to drink. All right, I put some tea on the brew. I think what I've got is pretty darn close to this. I don't need the update time. So settings, JSON, and then if I look at setting JSON, I've added this updated. And in this case, whenever I'm showing it, let's see here, updated setting. This is getting a single one. It's a bit of a mess, but I have this updated here. And so that's actually converting the setting. That's what I want right there. I need that for each one though. I don't know if I mean, I guess I have access to this. I'm just trying to figure out if I can convert. That's the sign up date. And then this is I don't know if this is useful information, but it might be. So then it's that. I don't know if I can do that in there or not. I'll try. Yeah. Well, amazing times. That's good that it's blowing up on that, because I can just do this. All right, so what I've done is I've added the updated, and I need to pass it a created, it needs to be a create email equals, which just means when the email or when the account was created, which is this, I think that's what it is. In our models. So we're looking at the user object. There it is, created. Although we want to convert it, just like the other one. In this case, we could do it here. What is happening? Why does this always happen to me? Like what is happening? Okay, I don't know. I give up. I give up, Sublime. How are you doing all this? And now it's back to normal. I don't know what I did. I did nothing. Okay, it's like making it bigger and what? Like I don't know what's causing that. Okay, so. I gotta go fix my tea, but what I want to do is I want to created equals, and this is, it's this guy. But I want to do strf. I don't think this is going to work. I don't think that works. I'm going to try it, and then if it doesn't work, I'm going to go get my T. Oh, it worked. And there's the update times. So this is a timestamp for the request. The result of the request was a success. The request URL was /p, and these are the settings that were returned. So you have email, and you have foobar. That's great. And with that, we're going to copy this, and then we're going to go back. We're going to look at this. What is going on with this thing? I swear. There's some scrolly thing going on. It's weird. Okay. So this is what we want to pop it in here. So that is in the API docs, which is here. So we want to go look for that. This is it. And we're going to do this. And that's what it looks like. All right, and then I'm going to do local host. And there we go, and I'm going to check. Okay, so that's done. So now that is done, because if you run this query and use the correct token, you will actually get this result. If you have a foobar, if you've posted a foobar thing. So I'll put some more examples in there, but this is, for me to see. This is what I pretended I wanted to get from the API. Now this is the actual result that we're getting from the API. That's what you want. You want that parity between, yeah, my code generates this. In a perfect world, you'd have it automatic, in a testing framework, and then it would pull the result out and it would stick it in the web page and build it for you, the docs and stuff. I'm not doing any of that. That's too much work. I'm gonna go get my tea. That's good. All right. Got a couple of baked potatoes in the oven. Just checking on those. Okay, so I'm gonna finish up this particular call right here now. So that's the one that I was messing with here below. Settings. I'm gonna take out that part. So what I wanted to do, yeah, that's the old one. And this is, actually that's if there's not a setting. I'm going to call 404. New file, so we have to have a 404 file. But then it's a 404 for settings. Yes. Okay. And then we're gonna put it's pretty simple. I'm going to template this up. I mean, they should know what the request URL is, but just in case, let's tell them the request URL is wrong. Okay? And here we did this. So, in this particular case, this is the 404. I just need to send in the request URL and the timestamp. Send in the setting. That should be updated. Or is it just timestamp? Time the error. And then what? The request URL. And in this case, we have the name. We do. name. That's it. Now we gotta put this in the right spot. Take out this. Alright, now I need to do this guy. But if I found the setting, I'm gonna update it. Now this is the get for it. No, this isn't right. This thing right here. I guess it is, because it's... No. Yeah, it's coming off of the setting. That's fine. I'm using timestamp here, which is the timestamp of the event. Okay, so this is setting.json, which is this file right here. And so these are all the things it needs. So it needs a timestamp, the request URL, which it has. We don't need to do this. This is like this. This one's extraneous. Alright, so we're going to make a response, and inside that response we're going to render the template setting. This is API setting.json, and then the timestamp. So it still gets super complicated. Result equals success. We don't, no, that's not, yeah, this has to be already written, right? Because that was the old way, this is the new way. It has to look like this. And that's timestamp. So it's a comma. Request URL equals. I'm trying to figure out, yeah, setting. This would be setting updated, except I'm already updated equals, I'm just doing it there. I mean, it's a little confusing, but no, I mean, I'm confused. But when I look at this, I'm thinking like, well, this is JSON. Well, that got moved over here. So then all this has to be rewritten to send these values that we're using in the template over into this one. And it's so simple because it's just a single file. But at least with this, we can we don't have to send in. We actually don't have to do that part. Or we have to do updated. Because we have setting. And updated. See, I've duplicated. I already have it here. But of course it wasn't working. I don't know, it might have been working. Now I have to set the value because the value is in the settings, so is the method. So all this is gone. Bloop. Okay. Get my brain shift back in order. Okay, so this is else we do this. And we'll use the other one. Great. Why is this not closed? Properly. So make response. Is a comma missing? No. Oh, there's extra one of those. Alright. I think that's gonna work. Ugh, I don't know. Okay. So just seeing if this still works. Nope. Okay, that works. Now we need to get one of these. I kind of was on the fence about whether or not I should like put the path in here or not as well in order how to get it, but I think it's so obvious I just left it out. So foobar. Like if we do email, it won't work. Wait, what happened? Name, email, value, method. Okay. Looks like something's working. Let's look at the entity. So it's foobar. Okay, so it looks normal to me. I don't know, why is it saying it's email? Why is the name email? Request URL isn't set. So this thing is being settings name. Setting name. Setting. So let's put a debug there. So it's foobar. Okay. Well, here it says email. So what's printing that? That's got to be this thing right here. It's got to be, right? Because 404, this is the 404 one. So that's not it. Let's try the 404 one. So we're looking for foobar here, but let's look at that one. None object has no attribute name. Print setting name. Oh, well, that makes sense. Else. Debug broke. None type object has no attribute name. We knew we were going to run with that one. This is line 92. This one right here. So that it's just name because it can't be in the setting because they didn't find it. It's only in the setting if it found it. There you go. Setting not found. All right. So then, now what? I don't. If it asks for the email, it's not going to find it either. So I need to either handle email separately, which I could do. You know, I could do this right here. I don't have to do much. It's kind of lazy. I like it. So it's a special case. No, I don't have to put an if setting. If I don't know. I guess I could. Maybe I should do that. I can do something like this. So, if not, I have an else there. saying I don't want to. I don't know. It's a tough one. I mean, here at least I'm limiting the get. I'm keeping in mind that this is a post. And so this is a get. So if I don't limit email to just a get, then I'm lying. And then I'll have to add code down here as well. I think the most reasonable thing to do is something like this. For now. So this would be setting. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to override this. I'm going to say setting equals setting equals this. And then it's the person's email. Like that. Mm-hmm. I think that's it. And then I pass it. I'll pass it to it, and then it'll take setting, and now I need updated. That was easy. Updated equals Flask login current user dot updated created, I think. Okay, so then that's, and then I would need to return the response. Make sure this still works. Something broken. Okay, that one's not found. There's no attribute current user. What does it say? It says user object has no attribute current user. Uh-huh. Right here. Okay, except for the fact that the name and the value is not working either. The dates are in there. In fact, even the date, timestamp's wrong. BRB. Alright, something is breaking. Timestamp is not defined. Timestamp. Here, timestamp. Save. Says in line 64. Timestamp. Yes, it's not. It's here. I mean, I should just do this, huh? I don't know what I'm doing. Too many templates running through my head. Okay. That's what I want. And that will work. Function object does not support item assignment. Function object. Is that a function? How is it a function object? I don't even know what that means. Should be able to do this, right? Food is not defined. Oh, I guess. Okay. Still not working. Still not working. All for email. It seems like overkill or something. I don't know. Probably is. Whatever. Lots of code gets written. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. Updated working? Yes, updated is working. These need to be fixed. Let's try to transfer that to don't know, methods. I don't know how I'm going to do that. Oh, I know. Like this. So I can't do it like that. I can do it like this. Timestamp is set. Updated is set to that. Setting email. What happened to my music? Did I kill it? I did. Okay, that looks good. Value's not coming in, or neither is the name. So this is the error one. Which one? What I want is this one. So I'm kind of faking what's happening here with the setting and the updated. So I'm setting in those, and I need to space this one out too. Okay, so I'm being really quiet, but like I'm trying to think about if this makes sense. I think this makes sense. I'm setting in setting updated, and I got timestamp here. This needs timestamp as well. And then I need to check the settings. No, that's not the right one. Let's see. I am not going to need to do that. But in setting, I needed to do it because I needed to be able to toggle back and forth between the two. Else there's no setting, which is the error. Okay, that should work. Be close to it at least. There's still no name or value. The request URL is not being set. which in this case is just email. So I mean setting, oh, I'm such an idiot. This is name. Alright, that explains that. So now, well, name should have been email. And so then I need setting value. Which is this thing. What? And then this is email. And then technically that's like something like this. I mean, if we were going to be like, I don't know, anal about it. Yeah. Dict object has no attribute name. That's because it goes like this. Bam. Okay, that works. So the request URL is working. The setting is working. When it was updated is correct. And the timestamp, today's timestamp, is correct. So that one's done. And then we're going to check another one. So we're going to check foobar and make sure that still works. And there's foobar. The request URL is not working. When it was updated is broken. And the value is not coming back. Oh, interesting. This is settings. Aha. You gotta watch that. Okay, there we go. And so all that needs to be set there is the request URL. All right, that looks good. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to copy it. And go over to API, and I'm going to paste that in here. And update this. There we go. So there's a extraneous item there. I don't know how that one should be formatted. It feels like it should be like this. And here I'm doing them like this. I think I'm going to settle on that. A little bit more compact. Okay, that looks good. Let's check the error one. You should write tests. Yeah, whatever. Invalid token. Okay. So setting. And then settings used to be cleaned up thusly. Although with this guy, I think I'd like to do that. I don't know, man. I think that's fine. And leave that guy there. Oh. So go back to this. Yes. That's the way that one should be done. So let's ask for the list again. That looks okay. It's a list, so settings is a list there, so I think that indentation is satisfactory. I'm okay with it. Alright. Alright, so that one's done. So this is the last one to finish. So I got to rewrite this to a template. So this should be fairly straightforward because we already have it. I think it's this. I'm gonna go find that post. And I'll post to Baz. And then, does that look? That looks weird. Oh, it's returning. It's using setting. Why does this look so weird? Oh, because I'm running through the JSON too. There we go. A little more compact version of it. Oh, that's nice. It broke this out. I don't understand why I did that. That is weird. Does that mean this is not valid? That's weird. Is that a bug in JSON tool? Maybe this is not valid. This isn't valid JSON. Is that tripping it up? Let's check if this is valid JSON. Let's see. JSON validator. That's valid JSON. Let's see if what they gave us was valid JSON. It's valid JSON. I don't get this. It's so weird. Maybe it's saying that I should encapsulate it in parentheses, like this. And I don't know what else to do with it, so that's what they do with it. Good Lord. Delimiter. That's not valid JSON. Obviously. Maybe that's why I did it. I don't know. It's a good question. I'm not sure. I'm not gonna worry about it. Alright, so take this out. For now, this is going to do, because I'm not going to use these types of values here. This will be like Steve or something like that. And then the value is Steve. And here are my methods. That looks great. The only other thing I have left to do, let's see what time it is. Streams are going for an hour and a half. I feel like, honestly, I'm kind of on the fence about like being inspected while I'm coding all the time. I mean, I've done like, I mean, nobody's watching this, but right now. But I'm gonna keep doing these series just so that I can get things done. This allows. I mean, it's a good way to say, okay, I'm gonna work on it, and I'm gonna get some stuff done, and it's like a structured time for me, as opposed to, you know, like the 9 to 5 job thing where you show up and you work and stuff. Like when you're working on something like this and this is all you're doing other than your life stuff, then it needs a schedule, it feels like. So I think this is a good excuse for scheduling stuff for me. And I guess I should update these things whenever. Okay, so what I'm updating it like an hour and a half into the thing. So it's this is the settings, methods, finishing up settings methods. And then what am I getting into next here? Let's see here. We had a list. Return correct data logic, remodel logic. I think all this is done. I think that's done. That's done. I think this was done. We need to test creating a new one, I guess. So I think we did that though. Oh, whoop. So this is so that should be Bazbar. The value is Steve. Request URL is Bazbar. If we request it, Yep. Okay, so finishing up setup methods. What else did we do today? That's about it. What can I go into next? I'm trying to think of this. Is this all done? This is done. So settings, personal settings may be viewed and used from the shell. So I guess I could implement that. That needs to be done. Some settings may also be updated from the shell. No, that needs to be done. But then that's just using the APIs, so that's fine. Settings uses get or post requests and may be called with the following parameters. Get, and I've got this, that's the new example. This is the new example. Need this new example. This one. Yep, just reload this. That's it right there. Value, Steve. Shit. What is going on there? Am I, is like, what is happening there? Is it because I have, no, it says value Steve there. Why does it say that? Because of this. Uh-huh. I think I just want this to be value. That's how that other one got screwed up. I didn't notice that. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so I'm going to delete these entries. So I had a bug in there. A bug, whatever. Typo. Delete. Confirm. Alright, now I'm going to do it again. Shouldn't. Oh. Timeout. Line 162. Yes, a comma is required. Whoops. Okay, well now I need quotes there. Zip. The method should be fine. Now there's a double quote there. That's unfortunate. Why? Oh, it's because of when it created it? Let's try that looks normal. If we do it again, it's double quoted. Which I don't understand. Maybe we should do something like this. Like that, because it's a JSON object. do this. JSON dumps value. Take the quotes out. So I'm dealing with JSON. That's normal. That's normal. Great. Okay, that's the way it's going to get left. So it can be. I mean, I guess it can be. I guess you can store JSON in there if you want to. I think that's the way it works. I don't know how to encode this JSON here though. So this would be like a list. Yeah, but it's in quotes. Bazbar 23. Yeah, it's in quotes. All right, well, whatever. So that just means that I need to read it and then interpret it. So then it could be whatever. So at least it's in quotes. So that's fine. That'll keep people from destroying things, perhaps. Okay. So Jesus. Finished up on the settings routes for the API, starting work on the command line settings. Command line settings, the settings command for the shell. And maybe day number 4 will actually be tomorrow instead of today. You never know, it's Saturday, so. Okay. So that's great because I have a little bit of time left here. I have like 30 minutes, so that'll be good. I can get into that. Yeah, I can get pretty far into that. Okay, then there's the one that those shouldn't exist. Let's see here. Something that doesn't exist. And the setting is not found. And then changing the key. Nope, we have an invalid token. Okay, good. Okay, so this looks pretty done. The only thing that I'm not doing is limiting how many settings there are. So if on the update I say, I really ought to limit this because I can tell you for a fact that somebody will come along and screw this up if I don't. The whole idea here is the problem that I'm running into is I have these open-ended settings. You can say, send me a variable, send me a settings name, and I will. You say you post this name, and then what happens is I'll create an entry for you and save that value in there. So it's for configuration. So if somebody wants to create something custom JavaScript or something like that, they can set some they have the ability to set local settings in the application for their account. The main reason I'm doing this is so that there's some settings placed that I don't have to create a page that has a bunch of settings that I have to hard code. I don't want to do any of that, so I'm just doing it all programmatically. So if somebody wants to set up Slack to talk to their Slack account, so they'll type to the bot in Slack and hit enter. Well, I need to know for that particular user what is their Slack API key and all that stuff. And this is the perfect place to put that. So maybe after 6 hours or 5.5 hours of streaming this in the last couple episodes or past couple of days, I should have explained that better maybe. But that's what we're doing. So this this is where we need to limit it. So here, I'd say get all, but that doesn't really get all. So I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to say there's actually one that you can ask for the count, but I'm not going to do that. So here I'm going to say if not updated. This is where it creates it. So what I need to do is check to see how many settings, and then I'm going to paste this in. This is what gets me that. And then I'm going to do I have to do it in context? Probably. With client context, print, what do we want to use? Length, settings. Maybe that's right. All right. So what we're going to do here is we're going to add a new one. And we should have a length 3. It says there's 3 of them. Let's see if that's true. Go in here and we're going to refresh this. Cancel. Go to documents. Go to settings. There's 4. So there's 3 going into it, 4 coming out of it. Okay, well that works. So what we want to do here is we would say if we're going to hard code this. So if length settings is greater than 10, then I don't know. We got to return an error. We have to return an error. This is settings update. This is 404. I've got to say something. I've got another one up here that says, where is it? It's in main. I feel like you can be a little bit ruder with with the error response, like this. You just say this. I'm gonna say return JSON dumps. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do right there. I don't know if that'll work or not here. So that's where it's going to happen right here. So basically it says if it's bigger than 10. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to make it bigger than 3 because it is bigger than 3. And then we're going to run this and see what it says to me. Still worked. Oh, that's one I already had. There you go. And then what I'm going to say here is instead of invalid token, I'm going to say too many settings. Perfect. And it didn't create it. Now, I need to delete. I need to support deleting one. So if you update it and you can't set the name to nothing, but you could set the value to nothing. So if value isn't set, it could delete it. I think that's reasonable for now. I mean, I should set up a delete endpoint technically, but a lot of people don't do that. Like, if you're going to make a RESTful API, that's the right way to do it, but it doesn't have to be completely. I mean, RESTful just means like REST-like. So it can be sort of not REST-like too. Yeah, it's kind of lazy, but I mean, like deleting it seems, I guess it's fine. Kind of wanted to handle it on its own, but whatever. Yep, this is it. Update. This is, I'm going to call this delete. Yep, and then that's it. So then I'm going to do, I guess I could write a model for it, couldn't I? I could do this. class method def delete CLS. Oh, this is the wrong one. Wrong object. Yep. And then I can say with client context. And then I'm going to do a return, and I have to remember how to delete this guy. Let's see, so copy this actually. Well, that's all of them. Yep. And that's UID and name. And then we're going to do this result equals, and then the result we should be able to operate on. Let's see here. I think I had some code for this. I want to go into the, it's going to be, let's say I deleted the code though for it. So it was for the, it's in the crawler, I think. The box. Nope. It's not in the shell. I don't really remember where it was. I had some code for creating a box. I don't remember if I implemented the delete method for that. Here it is. Huh. Okay, well, so I'm deleting it from somewhere else, so I'm going to get rid of this class method. I don't want to mess with that right now. I just want to get rid of it. So if not value, this is what I want to do. Maybe I just want this whole kit and caboodle, huh? All of that with client context, and then this is all not transaction, it's setting. Settings, query, filter, settings, dot, UID. Make this wider. Well, here let's see, so name, I need to look it up down there, here. And this is the post that I've pasted it into, so that's totally fail. If not value, value. Okay. So I'm not doing that method anymore. So I want to put it down here. Good Lord. Okay. Sidetracked. Okay. With client context, yep. So here we need to get the user ID. So this is actually, so filter, this is going to be settings dot UID equals, and then this is the current user dot Flask login current user. I want to put it up here, it'll be a little bit easier to see. UID equals Flask login current user dot UID. That's the first one, and then we got the name. All right, so settings UID equals UID comma settings dot name equals name. Get that and then delete it. And we don't get that. And try this. Actually, let me enroll that. And here, what I'm going to do is, if it doesn't exist, I'm going to return this thing up here. Actually, not supposed to return anything with a delete, I don't think. Pretty sure you just return. It's an empty response, I think. So it's like this. The exception would probably be, I don't know, we'll just put the exception in there like this. And then it's like a 500 or something like that. Because you're trying to delete something that doesn't exist. Maybe it's 401, I don't know, whatever. Result, error, response, whatever the error is, didn't find it. Probably not found or not deletable or something. That should work. All right, delete. I guess we get to add a new section to the docs too. Now, on this, what we need is, we still need, what we can do is something like this. Let's make sure that guy exists. Let's make sure the server's running. Invalid token. Alright. There's my valid token. Setting not found. So then I can just do a search for all of them. And I can pull up one of these, Bazbar 23. Okay, and I've got that. And then I can do a -x and then delete. Object of type name errors, not JSON serializable. Transaction is not defined. Some error I didn't catch in my, oh yeah. I didn't finish doing any of this. Okay, setting query, setting key delete, cancel. Okay, let's try this again. Name error, JSON is not serializable. Name setting, settings chord, settings. Boop. It says view function did not return a valid response. Yeah, it was because it didn't return anything. So then what we need to do here is, we could do like this. And then you say success. And that's it. probably put a timestamp in there. I'm going to put a timestamp in there. I'm not putting timestamps in there. That's a delete function. You don't even know when you deleted it. You should know when you deleted it. That's it. Now I can query that guy. So which one did I delete? I deleted this guy. Setting not found. Great. Okay, deletes are implemented. So now I need to put them in here, like this. And now I'm not saying you can delete it. So I need to fix those. Aye. These methods, settings, get post. This is where I need to put it right here. And then right here. So all of them support that. All right. And then I need to go into the API. And this is post. No, not all configuration settings may be updated as indicated by the lack of the post method. And then what I got in there? Nothing. Let's do this. Writing docs. So delete and deletes a configuration settings value. Requires token. And this is a delete. And it looks like this. Oh, I'm glad I caught that. That's it right there. And then this is, what was the output? And then here it was to delete this badge bar 23 SDF result success. That's the entirety of the output. I mean, really, you don't have to return anything with a delete, I don't think. But I will. I'll pretend it's formatted, but it's really not. Oh, sublime. Okay. Yep. Let's look at this now. Does that make sense? Delete. Delete p name deletes the configuration setting requires token. That's it. Okay. I think that's it. And look, I'm at 1 minute and 57 seconds. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the shell a little bit. So the meta shell is based on jQuery console A12087. A12087. And so this is the shell, and there are these commands. So if you do like help, servers down. So I have the servers not always running. They shut themselves off automatically. Google will preempt them, or they'll shut off after 24 hours total. The cost is 1/5 of what it would normally cost to run these servers while they're running. So the charge while they're running is about 1/5 of what they would normally be if they ran all the time, if I could make them run all the time. So this will take a couple minutes to come up, so I'm not going to be able to necessarily delve into this idea too much, but the shell stuff is based out of this code right here, which is served whenever you go to the /c endpoint. Basically serves you a web page, and then JavaScript takes over. The interesting part is that whenever you do like a command, like for example upload, is what it does behind the scenes is it calls the service, it calls this shell endpoint here, and has two of them. So the first one is for passing the console and also bookmarking in the console, or saving a URL, imaging a URL in the console, I should say. And then the second one is this J route, which is JavaScript route. And what actually happens is when you type in upload, it does a search for upload.js on the system. It says, does the system have this upload.js, this file? And then the system responds, yes, I do have this upload.js file. Here it is. If it doesn't have a file named whatever was requested, if I type in something else like foo bar, then, and I hit enter on that, then there is no response. It gets a 404 response from the server saying, I don't have that JSON file. But in this case, in the upload case, this is what gets loaded, is this pops up inside the DOM. Inside, I should say, run the scope of the JavaScript page, the JavaScript that's running on the page, and which includes running jQuery, is this appears in the scope, and then it's able to kick off a function. And so what happens is it's able to do stuff once it loads up. It's able to do things in the shell. And because we're using this kind of like chat UI type layout, I can just put whatever I want in each of these elements, and then I can just do something like upload, and then there's another box, and I can do another upload, or I can do a grub of HTTPS google.com, so I can take an image of a page and it'll pop up in there. It just keeps scrolling, right? So the idea is here with the settings stuff is that what I'm going to need to do is match up what it says here essentially, which is settings may be viewed and used from the shell. So I'm going to do this bang config command, and then bang config will take a $ in front of a name, and then it'll show you the value for that object. So right here I've got it doing this. So that's essentially what it'll do in the shell, is it'll spew out this thing that we're seeing here, stuff like this. It'll spew that out in the shell. And the reason why is because you should be able to set your configuration values from the shell. If you need to set a Slack configuration value for connecting to Slack, then you'll just type in config Slack token, and then you'll say equals, and then you'll paste in the Slack token, you'll hit enter, and there you'll have a Slack token in the system, and you won't have had to paste that into a box, and I won't have had to create a box for it. The user can just paste it in as they need to. So that's what I'm working on next. That'll finish up this config section, and then so that means in the next episode we'll be starting to implement the crawl parameter. So I guess I'll update that in here as well, right? Edit. We'll work on the sending command for the shell and move to working on the /crawl endpoints next. Yep, that's it. And on day 4. So you even get to see me update Yahoo on here, or not, because that would require viewers. But soon, so if you have been watching and you like all this stuff, I do 2-hour streams of coding. I've always been a programmer, but I love doing this, so I'm going to keep it up. So thanks for coming in today and watching. So you know the drill: give it a like, click the little bell to follow and get alerts. And yeah, I'll see you around. And especially check out meta.us. Take care and have a great day.